Hello, chat. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to another Real Good Thursday. I could see you're all excited. I could see you all already saw the social post announcing this stream. I'm glad you're excited. This is going to be yet another absolute banger of an interview. It should be fun. It should be educational. If you have questions, put them in the chat because we will be watching. If you don't know what Real Good Thursdays are, where have you been? But every Thursday, we stream on our channels, twitch.tv/realgoodai, and as well as my personal channels, MySkerm. And we talk about real good. Well, sometimes we talk about real good. Sometimes it's team stream. Every other week we have guests on. This week we are very lucky to be joined by Dr. Ahmed Diallo, who is a plasma physicist, who, again, if you saw the social post, basically is like an energy wizard, which is probably a very accurate description. I'm sure I'll have nothing to say about that. But maybe he'll correct me completely and put you on to what he actually does. But joining myself and Dr. Diallo are going to be real good team members, Dr. Amen and Dr. Mandy. Everybody is here. Everybody is ready. And Amen, you're actually friends with Ahmed, so it seems only right that you do the introduction here. But welcome.
Sure. Welcome. Yeah, we knew each other at Princeton. So welcome, Ahmed, to our chat, to our stream. So I wanted to introduce you, but I think the best thing is to ask you to tell us quickly why you chose, what is plasma physics, and why you choose to work in plasma physics.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on this channel here. You're right, Ahmed and I, we met at Princeton many years ago, and we became a good friend. I'm so glad to be here. She invited me, and I'm so glad. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I think that the better way to explain it is I came to the United States to study physics and math.
Yeah, you did it in Iowa, right? University of Iowa.
No, I did it. I went to do my undergrad in Montana, University of Montana, Missoula. And the thing that was interesting is there was a faculty there that knew about plasma physics. And again, let me explain. Plasma is not a state of matter, actually. So it's like the so-called the fourth state of matter. I'd heard of plasma before, right? When I was an early undergrad. Basically, I heard of plasma being when you have thunder, lightning creates like plasma, but you hear it, you're like, yeah, this is a pretty cute word. And then finally, I was in this class, in the physics class, where the faculty was an expert in plasma. And I was like, okay, and I got a little bit more curious about it. And then you realize that plasma really makes up like 90% of the universe, basically. The whole universe is filled with plasma. So like, okay, this is interesting. But I think what caught my attention the most was what we can do with plasma to produce energy. And that's how I kind of get more excited about plasma. And then ultimately, I got into energy sector.
I see. And so you did after your PhD, you did different work in different labs, right? You were in Australia, you were in Switzerland, and then you came back to the US at Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory. So you said it already, and I'm just kind of wanted to highlight to people who don't know, it's a matter of element. So it's a charged gas plasma. So what specific is about plasma and this state of plasma that is very important for the work that is done in fusion? So can you explain a little bit?
So this is interesting. So let me try to explain to you. I have a little bit of lag here. Let me try to fix it before everything goes to hell here. Okay, so So here's what it is. So a plasma is a state of matter. So ionized gas, basically you take like matter, you heat it to extreme temperature. You have multiple states. You first get vapor gas, you take, for example, a solid, you vaporize it. And now you vaporize it, it goes to the next level, it becomes a big gas. And then when you're in gas and you heat it to extreme temperature, some temperature, you get to the point where you basically ionize the gas. So you strip the electron, the ions are separated from the atom the way it is, and then you have what's called this soup of like charged particles that are floating around. So that's what plasma is. So it's an interesting state, and you usually see it, when you go certain temperature and also a certain pressure, lower pressure of the gas. So for example, you go in a vacuum in an interstellar medium, you have plasmas there. Those are charged particles floating around. Now, that is a state about it. It's not we consider it as a fourth state, but it does require like extreme heat to get there. Okay. And I would say, it has other benefits. For example, plasma is used not only you see in interstellar media, but you also see it like it's used for making microelectronic chips down the road. So that's the thing we can discuss down the road today. It's an abundant gas also, so I would say abundant matter. So because it's 90% universe, so we should know about it more. I think this is not something that's taught in elementary school, but I think we should definitely tell the student that's a possibility as we move forward.
And so what we did at Princeton Plasma Laboratory is focused on fusion, right? Using plasma for fusion. So you said this gas, it's very hot and ionized. And the cool thing about it is that, I guess I'm going to ask you to say, like, what do we do with this gas once we have this matter? And what is the fusion that we want to achieve?
So think of something that is so hot, right? But hot is more than room temperature.
The sun, right?
Well, so there are multiple stages. So you can take, for example, as you heat it, you have a small plasma that is hot 4 or 5 times room temperature. So it's hot, but not too hot. And then you can go as hot as like million-degree centigrade or Fahrenheit, however you want to call it, whatever unit you care. And then once you're really hot, usually you don't want it to touch any kind of solid because you tend to cool off, or it will vaporize it. So you can take a blowtorch, the other stuff you don't want to touch, otherwise you melt it, right? Same thing. So what it is typically, weighing it, not having, so that it doesn't touch a surface, we put it in a magnetic bottle. So you create a magnetic field, strong magnet, for example, that basically confine this hot plasma so it doesn't touch the wall of your confinement vessel. Let's just say you have a bottle, you don't want it to touch the side of the bottle. So what you do, you confine it with a strong magnetic field. And that's usually what's done with a concept called magnetic fusion concept. This is you use magnetic field to confine the plasma. And the way it works is very simple. I mean, you can think of, I don't know. I mean, think of, it's kind of hard if you don't know what the magnetic field is, but I mean, we know a little charge, you put like 2 magnets, they attract, you have the field line between that are invisible to naked eye, but when you put like some metallic stuff, you can see the field line. And there's small like high school experiment that people have done.
We've done it in high school, yes.
Right. So that gives you the field line. So that's what it is. A charged particle. Remember I told you that there was charged particle? The charged particle, when they see a magnetic field line, what they do, they hug the field line. They say, hey, you're my buddy. I'm going to hug you. I'm going to go hang on with you. So, and I always like to think about like court. I mean, you see the little kid going crossing street, from kindergarten, and the teacher has a rope and they're all holding the rope. Though it's the same thing. So basically, the kids, instead of the kids, it's a charged particle, electron, and ion, and basically go on the rope effectively. And the rope, you can think the rope as being like field line, magnetic field line. So imagine you have a lot of particle and a lot of field line. They all will follow the field line, and that way they won't touch the magnetic vessel, the vessel. So that's a way to explain this, how to confine a plasma with a magnetic field.
I see. So what are
How
the
big?
other...
I have a question. How big
Sure.
are these? Like when you are doing experiments like this, is it like a tiny bit, like a bottle, I'm imagining, or is it like a whole room of plasma?
You have
So
different
this
sizes.
is a very interesting. There are multiple flavor of it, right? So if you just want to show, a glow discharge, for example, small, you can have like a bottle, not that big. You see it on the market, those glow discharge with a magnetic field, yes.
The
But
lamp.
now to produce fusion, you need it to be massive, right? Because you need it like to be like six. I mean, what is it like? I mean, 6, 8 meter tall. It becomes like a cubic meter at least. It becomes large in volume.
Why?
Like,
Why is that? Why, if you want
s-
to make fusion, we need bigger sizes? Because that's the point of ITER, right?
yeah.
Bigger bottle
Okay.
of fusion.
So the people here may not know what ITER is, but I would say ITER is like a fusion device that is being sponsored by multiple countries. That is being built in the south of France. And the goal of ITER is to show that you can put like you can test that you can produce more that you put in to heat the plasma. So why do we need to be massive? It turns out the fusion power, which is really matters to us, the thing that matters, it scales like volume in some sense. Why that is? There's something you have to think. It's like let me go back to a simple analogy. So think of I think a better way to think about it is like, let's go back to your fireplace, right? Okay. So you have a fireplace. What do you have? You have effectively a piece of wood, a fire container, and then you have heat that comes out of it. So if you make it large volume fireplace, you need a lot of fuel, right? So that's what you do. You put a lot of fuel and you want to heat, for example, let's just say instead of just a little house, multiple houses at once, it becomes volumetric. I mean, you start increasing the volume because you're using the wood, for example. Similarly, in a fusion device, what you do is like if you want to stuff a lot of these of the fuel, which is like an isotope of hydrogen, is like hydrogen effectively, so they can fuse. And once they fuse, they have to be fusing for long enough, right? And hence, you really want to contain it in a large volume to be able to produce heat. So typically, there is a volume scale that is a factor that's associated with the fusion device. You want to make it massive. Until recently, where we found out that actually you can make it smaller if you have much stronger magnet. So that's another. So you have two lever here. You can go, let me make it something massive, or let me do something that has a strong magnet that so I don't need to be high volume.
I see. I see.
Is that just because it's going to escape because there's too much pressure?
Right. So basically, the large volume allows you to get pressure. That's correct. If you make it with strong magnet, yes, you contain the plasma pressure effectively inside. So you have to create what's called a magnetic pressure to contain this. So that's what you get a balance. Otherwise, it will just escape.
Mm.
And that's where you waste energy effectively, and that's not what you want.
Yeah, so you touched about subject of fusion. So the whole point of plasma physics, magnetically confined plasma physics, is to provide energy and to provide energy through, as you were saying, containing it in a bottle, producing heat, and then this heat is going to heat some water or whatever, and then we can have a plant of energy, basically, right?
Yeah.
So most of people that I know confuse fission and fusion. Can you quickly explain the difference
Okay.
and then
Okay.
explain the different material that we use for each side and the biohazard that ends up?
Okay, so for those that don't know, people have heard about fission. Fission is like splitting an atom. So basically, it turns out when you split it, you can extract energy out of it. That's one. This is the most commonly used to produce electricity. The US has a bunch of fission power plant. The rest of the world, like France, has like a lot of them, and that produce electricity.
90% of them are from
Yeah, so
here.
that's one part of the spectrum. So you can split stuff, extract energy, and usually what you split is uranium, and one of the isotope of uranium. You split it, and then you have energy. Great, we know how to do this. Then you have the other part of the spectrum. You say, well, Mother Nature doesn't like to bring small atom together. together. So basically, you take the lightest possible atom, which is like hydrogen, and then you take another isotope of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. You bring them close enough that when you bring it, you force them to be close enough, they stick. That's what's called a strong force. So basically, they'll repel each other. But if you have the power to kind of bring them together, after a certain distance, the Coulomb force becomes weaker, and then the strong force takes over, and then they stick. And when they stick, they produce energy because you have a byproduct that is a neutron and helium-4. And so those are the two part of the spectrum. So one is uranium, let me repeat that, where you split, you extract energy. The other one, you take light atom and you fuse them and you extract energy. So let's go back to uranium. Uranium, when you split it, what it is, you keep splitting it. It's continuous, the continued reaction. You have neutron coming out, the neutron split it, and then it continues to split the uranium until you deplete a few percent of that. Now, what you do as you split it, you extract, you produce heat, and heat basically is used to boil water. And you boil water, the water becomes a steam, and the steam will spin a turbine. And then when you spin a turbine, you basically generate electricity. Okay. So now what happened with this is when you split, you also produce other byproduct besides splitting it. So there's a bunch of like byproduct that are really radioactive that you produce. So what happened, everything, for example, the water, everything that's around that becomes super radioactive with a half-life time of like millions years, basically the time that it decays. Half the radioactivity will be roughly about 1,000 years. So what it is the waste that this produces needs to be contained. Usually what we do, you contain in like barrel and you put it on the ground for many years.
We do. Up to now, that's what we do. We take the
that's what we do. Yeah, we kind of sort them out right now into those that have mid half-life, maybe 500 years or 1,000, and those that have million half-life, basically. And then we store them into barrel and then go deep underground, so that in an area where there won't be like a volcano or whatnot, or earthquake. And then we put it there, and hopefully a great grandkid and multiple generations will monitor so it doesn't.
Oh my God.
It doesn't leak out. Okay, so that is the waste you produce, right? And that's known, but it's kind of well understood how to manage this. So it's not the end of the world, but it means that you have to have a responsible.
Did Russia used to take care of this radioactive for the US? I heard something like that.
I don't know the detail, but I think, yeah, some people decide you can pay some people that will take the radioactive waste for you at a cost, So yes, this is not a business opportunity for some countries, and maybe some business if you can where to put it, and the community is not too crazy about it typically. So you have to manage those expectations down the road. So that's one way. So now that is fission, right? Now fusion is the other one. Basically, what you do, you fuse to a light atom, you produce a neutron that carries about 80% of the energy, and that's what's this neutron will deposit energy into some sort of blanket that you can use, that is very hot, that heats a blanket, and then you can use other loop to heat the water and boil the water and spin turbine. Now, for this case, what it is with this neutron, it's only a neutron, so you don't get long-lived radioactive wastes. So basically, they are like mid to low. So this is more manageable for multiple generation. So because there's no also runaway, meaning that if the day I don't have a fuel in my plasma, then the reaction stops, the power stops. That's it. And there's a catastrophe that could occur. So that's really the beauty with fusion, and that's why we call it a holy grail, because this is how the sun produces energy. But it has been very hard to do the research and development. So, but now slowly we are moving into a phase where we think we're almost there to kind of put electricity on the grid in a few years. in at
Okay,
least in the
so
next decade.
my question for you, I started working on that in 2010, graduated 2016, and since 2010, I was listening to people saying it's going to come in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. And there is a joke in our field that said it's always 30 years coming,
Yeah,
the
away.
future away,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Mm.
I wanted to explain to people from you how. So okay, so fusion is cleaner, clearly, than fission because the derived product is helium, right? And the product that we put in is deuterium that is abundant in oceans and things like that, right? So the input and output are way cleaner and better than fission. But then and we know the physics you were saying, like this is nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is a well-studied field. So what would you say is the issue that is happening that kind of put us always 30 years from having like fusion in every plant in every country in the world? Like, why are we still struggling to get this fusion going? And why are we
So,
still doing fission?
so I think okay. So let me explain. So you're right. Here about fission, he has less low level. It has low level waste. But I mean, the biggest challenge of fusion, implementing a fusion power plant, the physics is understood. It's actually the integration. So what you may or may not know is having so far fusion for many years has been studied on the physics side. Let's get the physics right, and which happened in December 2022, where basically in Lawrence Livermore, where you two were, Amanda and Iman, is like
Ignition.
right. Yeah, ignition occur. So from the physics point of view, we have a little bit more confidence that yeah, if you put the fuel, the deuterium, tritium, you compress it, you can get fusion, and you can produce more power than you put out a capsule, for example. Okay, that gives confidence to the physicists. Okay, now the biggest challenge now is the integration, how the engineering. Let's just say, for example, one of the biggest challenge, and I'm gonna probably line them up, all of it. Just first of all, with the fuel. So fusion required deuterium and tritium. Tritium is not abundant, so we need tritium, and then we need to make sure that once you produce tritium, and once you use tritium, we can recycle the tritium because we don't burn all the tritium. Okay, that's one. There's another big challenge, and one of the biggest challenge is like I said, one of the byproduct is helium-4 or deuterium, but also a neutron that contain 80% of the energy. So what happened? The neutron is really a very energetic neutron, it's 14 MeV. When that goes through a material, what it does, it basically displaces the lattice, the atom in the material, it just moves them around. And if you bombard your material long enough with these 14 MeV neutron, what happened? You make your material brittle, it cracks. Okay. It will crack, and then that's it. Okay. So you make your material not only brittle, but also the 14 MeV can transmute to other material. But I would say the biggest challenge is finding that novel material. One of the biggest challenges, novel material that will survive 14 MeV. Okay. That's one challenge. There are other challenges created. Let's just say you build a fusion power plant, you bring heat to heat your system, the fuel. I mentioned you have to heat 1,000,000 degrees. You have to heat it. You have to extract the heat. You have to also breed what's called tritium, because tritium is not abundant. There's only 30 kilograms of tritium in the world. And you need about a few
Where
grams
where
to
do you
start a
find
power.
it? Where do you find the tritium?
Tritium is usually a byproduct of fission power plants. For example, you can get it at fission power plant with light water reactors. So it's a bit of a byproduct. That's where you extract it. I mean, there exists in Earth, but the decay is about 12 and a half years. So it becomes like basically you don't have enough lying around.
Can
So I
we
think the
make
best,
it? Can we make it?
yes, you can make tritium. Actually, the beauty with fusion is the following. You have deuterium, tritium, right? You start with a little bit of tritium. Then you let them fuse. And what happened when they fuse, they produce a neutron. Okay? If this is the subtlety about it, if you have judicious enough, you basically use a neutron to have the neutron interact with lithium. And the interaction of the lithium and tritium will give lithium and a neutron that comes out will give you a tritium. So effectively, you become a self-sufficient system. Basically, you start with deuterium, tritium, a little bit tritium, and then you may cut off the supplier tritium and just get the tritium at the back end, where the neutron comes out, hits a lithium, produces a tritium. You take that tritium, you feed it back. So this loop is called, it's a self-sustaining mode, which is what each and every fusion power plant is trying to achieve. If they achieve that, then it becomes self-sustaining. So you need a little bit to start, and then after that, you say, I don't need any more, and you self-sustain, and then you produce excess tritium at some point you can give to the next power plant to start up. So Mother Nature is kind of set it up this way so that everything falls in place effectively. But we have not demonstrated that the physics checks out, but we need to demonstrate that at scale. What I mean by at scale, you need to build a power plant, test the little kinks. It's like building a big car. You can have a Lego car, which is great. You know, it does work now, and to go to the next model, you know, with all the bells and whistles and put it on the road and all that, and make sure that it has good gas mileage. Same. You want to make sure it's efficient, blah, blah, blah. So I would say we are far, with the 30 years comes the fact that we have not done a lot of the demonstration as well as the integration. So we've been focused on the physics for a long time.
Are you thinking about, like, what's the timeline with ITER? So the big international project, where are we?
So the ITER project will come in around, I think, late 2030s, late 2030s, maybe 40s for a demonstration. Yeah. Well, that's a big project that is a consortium of multiple countries that had some delays when they were starting, but now I think under the new leadership of ITER, it's getting back on track. And it's a demonstration. It's just to show the physics. It was set up to show that it's an experimental facility to show effectively that we can get 10 times more energy out than when we put in to heat it. So in some sense, demonstration will understand the physics, but it's not a commercial device.
So ITER would be showing the physics different from the one that ignition was shown at Lawrence Livermore, right?
That's correct.
The magnet thing confined, we didn't show ignition yet.
Correct. So that's a good question. So yes, ITER will show 10 times more input than output, 10 times more output than what you put in. So we have not demonstrated that at this scale for a magnetic fusion. We went close to ignition or close to energy break even, but we never really did what the laser world has demonstrated. So that is true, that's a fact. But you know, I think giving the scalings, the physics, extrapolation, I think with the new regime, there's a good chance we're gonna get that. I mean, you have to think about it also. To achieve to be able to demonstrate that, you really need to build a big machine. We've talked about it earlier. Sometimes your calculation gives you something, but you really have to build the machine and go and then put it all together and demonstrate that. And this is something that has not been done for many years because of the cost. But now with ITER and multiple people joining, multiple country joining in it, I think it's a $20 billion class machine, I think there is a strong chance that that's gonna be demonstrated. And once that's demonstrated, I think that's gonna open up now for the rest of the world to start doing this, but for commercial. Okay, because right now we are really doing experimental.
Okay, so another question for you. So the demonstration and experimental thing, we understand. And
whoa, I don't understand. I have a question first.
Yeah.
Silly person
Sure.
question, regular person question. Okay, so we were all taught in science, like you can't create or make things go away. How is ignition possible? How is that possible? I know science has proved it. Do we know how?
No. So yes, we do now. I think the better way to explain this is this. You can create. Okay, so what it is like, okay, you all know about Einstein E equal mc square, right? I hope people know that. I mean, we've seen it on T-shirt and all that. So basically, what it is, the speed of light is very large, and so that's the number. So basically, what you do, you start with light atom, and then you look at because it's a nuclear process, you have the result on the byproduct, what comes out of the fusion, that is an alpha particle and neutron. And basically that you look at compare the two sets of mass from input and output, you realize that there's a small deficiency in mass. There's a change in mass between the two, the input and output. And that multiplied by c squared gives you a large energy. So you can get energy out of it. You start with something, two independent atoms. You bring them together, which requires a lot of heat. When they stick, they could give you a lot of energy out. And that has to do with Einstein equation effectively. So yes, it's possible. And we do that all the time to have more energy, and people can refer to nuclear fission as well as fusion. But I mean, the simplest thing is really, I mean, it's not the best example, but you can think of a bomb. That's what a bomb is effectively. So yes, so it's possible. Just take it for those that are asking that yes, you can produce more energy than put in.
And that's why
Yes.
we're all here, because the sun. Yay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ahmed. Now we understand the physics.
Yeah.
We're all
No,
on top of it now.
I was going to kind of pivot about that, like the
Mhm.
next step. So the experiments are going at their own pace, but recently, and this is very important for people who are like reading the articles and not understanding what's going on, we've seen a lot of investment for like startups, new concepts, like different. So the classic thing that either is, which is a tokamak, like a donut shaped bottle. We've seen Stellarator, which is kind of like I don't know how you explain it, like
Twisted,
yeah, twisted
yeah,
donut. Yeah, a
twisted donut, yeah.
twisted donut capsules things. There's so many new things going on right now, and a lot of VC money pushed towards that. And as a physicist, as a plasma physicist, do you see this as like completely exploratory without any like engineer, actually well thought engineer ending problem, or you see it as like something that is going to help the general fusion effort to have it reach the grid plugin basically to humanity? Like what I'm saying is like, what is these things, this new money, new investment, new startups, new things going on that are going to affect the national labs like Princeton Plasma Laboratory or LLNL, or the fusion status, ignition status for all humanity?
So you're right. As a background, you're right. There is a lot of investment now in fusion startup. And usually when the venture capitalists start investing in something, there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. What I mean by that is, first of all, you have had ignition, which is like, oh, it is possible to get energy out of two light atom. Great. Then before that, there's about 40 years of research in the magnetic fusion field that has been progressing. Every other year of a year, there was a progress in what's called one of the performance parameter called the Lawson criteria. Lawson criteria, basically, there's progress. So people track this progress over many years, and we are getting closer and closer to where you extract more energy than you put it. Okay, from scientific. So then we put basically you put like a marker there, and then you see over 40 years, all the design of new machine are getting closer and closer. What does he do to the investor? The investor say, oh, now that we are slowly seeing that it's going to move, this concept, this fusion concept overall, is going to move out of the lab into the market. Let's invest and accelerate that. So now the VC are investing to accelerate fusion, so we can put to the grid. But also they're investing because they're realizing this could be the next big thing in 10 to 15 years. So I'm gonna put my chips in it, my funding in it, to see it, so I have a strategic edge and also a commercial edge down the road. So what does that mean for National Lab? There are lots of fusion concepts. Don't get me wrong. There's like lots of fusion concepts. There are the main ones. The main one are the ones that have been studied with multiple researcher, lots of government funding injected into it. Those are the main ones that are leading candidate. And then you have the other one that are basically very cute, I think. I mean, not to play down on that concept, but very nice, but did not have as much research and peer review of the concept over many, many years. So the confidence is not quite there. But again, fusion is going to be something that's not going to go away for overnight. People are going to be working on fusion, because the way I see it personally would be that we're going to get fusion on the grid, produce electricity, and then there will be a great grandkid that are going to come up with other concept of fusion, right? Using light atom to fuse them, that are different magnetic concept, for example, how to hold it, that could be more efficient, that could be more compact. But I think humanity is going to continue working on it to improve it. Just like take of a car, you know, we started with like these two what's it called again? V2, two channel, two cylinder kind of cars, and then we improved them, we made them performer over many years. We still have cars, and we're moving to electric. So I would say there will be multiple generation, and the VCs can see those, right, and they're really excited about it. So I think because of that, you're going to get people more money injected in it. Now, to your final point, which was like, well, what a national lab will do, there will still be research in fusion, just like there's still research in nuclear energy and fission, for example. Think about it. Nuclear fission power plant benefit from government grants still to do research to improve the system. And you have a whole lab called Idaho National Lab in Boise that basically, I think it's Boise, I forgot where it is, but it's that basically do the research to improve it, because there will always be need of improvement, make it better here and there, to basically get more energy output, or to increase the uptime, meaning you don't want the fusion power plant to go down more than a month. So all this thing will continue. So I think national lab, university, research interests, they will continue to work on it, even if we put a fusion power plant on the grid.
Yeah.
So to give you a sense, you know, it's true it took 30 years, but we're getting closer to putting an electron. I like to say, put the one electron on a grid first, get people get excited, then you can double it and make it better if you want.
So, and again, I am excited about it. I studied a lot of time on it and stuff, but I cannot stop kind of make the parallel with AI. You
Okay.
know, the AI venture capitalists we needed, this is the next time it's changed humanity. Unless, compared to AI, this is fusion energy. So it's kind of like something that is going to replace the fossil fuels that we are depending on. So I see a different like kind of different product, but this like, you know, money invested, the hype around like this is the next thing, and how are we're going to reach something where we're going to have it for the whole humanity, and then you question yourself, is it really, or is it like some countries are going to take advantage of it and the rest is going to depend on others and things like that. So do you see this like parallel between like, you know, the hype of like, and also like the data centers, like we need bigger and a lot of data centers for powering this AI bubble, whatever, And the contrary, like with fusion, we need like bigger projects, bigger experiment and things, and more money, way more money. And up to now, uh, except some ignition and something results, we are inputting a lot of money, but there is no return yet on investments like AI. So what's your take on that? I will ask a question about AI influence on that later, but like, what's your
Yeah,
take
sure,
about
sure,
this
sure.
like,
Sure.
super?
I think first of all, fusion has not benefited as much as what AI is benefiting in terms of funding VC money. So, but I would say
True.
it's a different. They are very different. I mean, one is super deep tech. I mean, you take for example, um, fusion. There's a lot of hardware you got to build, right? Otherwise, AI is more a lot of software. Okay, burn a lot of CPU time here and there trying to accumulate data. But I would say that you still build a little bit of hardware for sure. But Fusion is super massive hardware, stuff that the humankind has never built. Okay. You take, for example, a high temperature a coil, a magnet, right? That's massive. It's called high temperature superconductor. We don't even know. We know how to make a small little toy like this. Now you have to make it at scale and make it sure it will survive. You have Mother Nature that pushes against by saying, listen, you have all these forces that occur when you have a strong magnet that basically are so strong that would tear apart your magnet into pieces. So you need to kind of basically mitigate for that. So you call the best engineer to come and deal with it. Since no one has built it, there's trial and error, obviously. You build it and you say, well, this work, let's come up with something else. And those take long time and are very expensive. For example, you could wait, for example, for an item that has a lead time of a year, right? Because no one's building it. So that supply component makes it like, well, it's true there's a hype on it. It would take longer. It does not have enough capital compared to what AI has been getting. Because AI people see for AI an instant return. Fusion, I said that earlier, if the way I look at fusion energy is a holy grail, once you get it, you're gonna have abundance of energy. Right. I like to think of humanity. When humanity have abundant energy, well, then they won't fight for energy anymore. Maybe they'll find another thing to fight for. Fair enough. It could be
I don't
religion. It
know
could be
if I
anything.
agree with the AI has a better return on investment than fusion.
Well, people is more exciting. People are more excited because AI helps you
Excited, but
do,
not return on energy. Like none of the companies that are investing in AI are like having that much
I,
return.
I
Well, you
don't
get
know that,
something
but
crappy out, you just get something out. You get
he
something.
gets he did something. People can see it. It's exciting. He built, for example, my slide deck. I'm excited. Or help me, whatever, build this application, this app very quickly. Yeah, those are exciting. Instant. Think of instant gratification. You get it on. It's great. AI will help people productivity wise. It's great. I respect, but you're right. There is a component that sucks a lot of energy to train all
Yeah,
those agents.
it's
So
energy.
that energy has to come from somewhere. Well, so I like to make kind of say, well, you can build a bunch of power plants to provide energy. Great. Now, where are you going to go? You're going to go a nuclear reactor, produce a bunch, and every data center is going to have an own nuclear power plant to feed the AI and make more money, or what are you going to get? You're going to do process oil. You're going to burn gas to do it, and then you're going to pollute the planet again some more. But so I'm thinking, if you have a fusion power plant combined maybe with a fission power plant, between the two, you can get abundance of energy. And I like to use the word abundance because once it's abundant enough, uh, humanity might change the focus from away from energy to something else. That's one less thing to worry about. Now, you did mention something earlier, which is kind of interesting because the question is like, who's going to have access to fusion power? It could be limited. It could be like rich country only have fusion power, poor country don't have fusion power, poor country will jump into oil fossil fuel and then burn more. Don't know. So at some point, fusion power plant needs to also be democratized. Meaning we need to figure out a way to make it accessible to even people that are less rich than
And
the
with
Western
AI,
world. So
with AI.
AI is a little bit more accessible. I mean, you have train stuff, you
Now,
ship it. AI people in other country can buy it if they have the money. and then basically they can train their their system with it, and pay a little bit to Anthropic or whatever company, OpenAI. So I would say this
But you
it
still have
has
this monopoly
you
of
you can
rich
prop
country. You still have this monopoly of rich country having the AI
correct. Rich
model.
country will, yeah, they will have the lead, that's for sure. And then down the road, it will diffuse toward the poor. That's correct. That's correct. It's always someone started, it would diffuse to the rest of the world, the third world country, or country in developing country as we move forward. Yes, that's correct. Someone started, and probably just like, so it won't be accessible to everyone, just like medicine, for example. Medicine is the same. There's some medication that is only accessible in some part of the world, not the rest. So, but it takes time to propagate. And it's the same thing with food energy. Fusion energy might end up being like that. And then after multiple few century, it will probably propagate down to the second and third world. So yes, that's something to worry about. But the fact that we don't have an electron on the grid is good to think about it, but it is not a high priority. I think I can imagine people like on this video game present, I can think about what do we do in terms of regulation so it would be accessible to everybody in the world, and they can start thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to the startup things. So
Okay.
you see it as a plasma physicist, these bets on new technology and startups
Right.
as viable, like good things that could be like joined, invested in, and like gives us hopes or different paths. You see it?
So I think, okay, think of it. There's a multiple shot on goal. Okay. The goal is to get fusion on the grid. Okay. So there are multiple of them. I think some have more or less more chances than other. But who am I to decide? So basically, I just let all of them grow, and then we'll see. Those that won't make it. Just like Bashir, the Mother Nature is going to block you. Basically, listen, this cannot be done, and then or you realize it's not economically viable, and then you punt yourself. So right now there are lots of them. I know some people are worried there's too many, but I think what happened with time, you have a funnel effect. Only a few survive, and then you move forward. So this is what innovation does to you. Research and development innovation does to you. You have lots of idea, and there's only very few that coalesce into something that is commercially viable. So I'm not worried about it. I think that let the process play itself out, and then we get there.
Right. So I want to turn the conversation a little bit more towards like you and your career. So
Yeah,
you being a plasma physicist, I think people
yeah.
don't really know what that means. I mean, okay, so you studied in school. Are you sitting writing equations on a board? Are you on a computer? Are you with a machine? What does your
Are
day
you
look
doing
like?
experiments or all of
Yeah.
the above?
Okay. Okay, so my day, wow, this is a good one. So I studied physics and math. That's is really what I thought I was good at. I tried chemistry, but I failed miserably. So, and I got excited about physics and math, but I quickly realized that there were two tracks I could have taken. Pure math, where I just do a lot of thinking, demonstration of problem, or applied physics, or physics if you wish. And then I chose physics at some point because it was more concrete. I could build stuff. And I quickly learned very soon in my career that I was more inclined into building stuff, which is, so you use a the physics principle with some support of math. I like to say math is a kind of nice tool that helps make things a little easier sometimes. And the physics is intuition. So I build my data lab, build like system. For example, my graduate work was basically building a device to study plasma. So, and I could give you a sense of what it is. I started my PhD in 2000. So basically, my supervisor hired me. My professor said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna build a device. Here's an empty room. Here's a wrench. Good luck." Basically, so you go, and that device was like comprises of a vessel, a vacuum vessel, which is like a big tube, think of a cylinder that's massive, maybe 1 meter in diameter and maybe 6 meter in length. So you take that, you go talk to a mechanical engineer. Oh, can we weld it? Can we do this? You buy the part, you assemble it. And then one aspect of it was also to wind a coil. So think of a coil for a magnet, So wind it, but it was made out of aluminum. So we took aluminum that are basically square, and then we wound it to multiple turn to get a magnetic field. You build like 50 of those. So basically, it's a little bit like, with support of others, you put like, you fabricate it yourself. It was funded by the government, so we didn't have a lot of money, but we were a bunch of students that were enthusiastic about this project. So you wind it, you create your system, which is like your test bed effectively, and then you produce plasma in it. Once you have plasma in it, what you do is like, okay, I want to study one aspect of one physics. I want to understand, for example, how the plasma respond when I whack it with a microwave, right? And that physics is simple. It's like, okay, I have a microwave in a plasma. I shine it. What happened? And then what you do, you want to understand from the first principle and physics point of view. You have a little bit of equation. What should I measure? So then you become good at measuring stuff like plasma parameter that allows you to either validate some model that someone came up with, or to discover something completely new, right? Typically. And if you discover what happened as a scientist, you go ahead, you publish a paper, yay, everyone's happy. And then hopefully other people pick up on it. And then you continue. You basically try to explore the physics. And then one of the hope is like if physics has connection with fusion or other field, this is what you want to do as much as possible. You want to have a strong motivation why you're doing this. And then after that, what I did my postdoc in Switzerland, where basically I didn't build a machine, came to a machine that was already built, and I did the similar thing where I had an antenna and I was understanding how a wave will propagate in a plasma. So we know how wave propagate in the water. You can walk the water, you see the ripples. You throw a stone, you see the ripples. Now in a plasma, it's a different medium. I talked to you about Fortuna matter. So then you build stuff around. You say, how do I probe it? You ask question, and you stick your some probe into the plasma to understand what it does. So my day-to-day life revolves through my career is building to understand what the plasma is does. Remember, I told you it's hot, so you can't really stick your fingers. So you really have to kind of find ways to measure it, and it becomes more of a remote sense. So you're constantly developing tools to measure with the goal to understand the physics, and that's what it is. So then sometime you can build a small code to understand the data you got. You say, well, from first principle, I have this and this. What is the data telling me, right? Because some of the data speaks to you, but you don't understand all the details. So you build a code from a physics model, and then you see if it matches. If it matches, great. If it doesn't match, try to understand what's missing in your model. Because I tend to believe data is really it's really the truth, the ground truth, if you wish. So what you get from the data plasma, that's what you have to rely on and backtrack. So for example, Ahmed, I know you're a statistician, so a lot of statistical analysis to make sure that what we see is significant. So then you go back and learn a little bit of statistic. What does it mean? 1 sigma or whatever, 3, 4, 5 sigma. So you're constantly reinventing yourself in other fields to better understand the plasma physics data. Now, you do that in physics in general. I got to be honest. It's not only plasma physics. It's just every physics you do that. Every physics experiment. Now, plasma physics is one aspect of it. I hope this is clear. But I think, yeah. So that's basically day-to-day life, I would say.
Oh, Amen, you're muted. But that's great. I mean, I think that helped a lot. I mean, in physics, and we've worked a lot with astronomers and other flavors of physics. You have your cool tools that you get to play with and try and figure things out by building it and playing with it enough to try and learn about the underlying physics.
Exactly. And you're right. It's cool, expensive tool, unfortunately. And that's the thing, so therefore you have to kind of fundraise from the government. So you have this hypothesis you build, you write a proposal, you go send it, someone reviews that, this is a great idea or not. And then if it's a grade, they give you a little bit of money. And then hopefully you're right. And if you're not right, but at least you can pivot. You can say, hey, by the way, I was not right from the hypothesis, but this led to a different hypothesis. And then you have another grant to kind of validate that, to be able to build. Basically, you build like different ideas, and you see if all the idea coalesce or coalesce into something that can move the needle effectively in what you're trying to achieve.
Yes, and actually, it's a great segue because, like you said, two things that are very important to us, which is one, data, and two, very expensive experiments. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. There's
Yeah.
tons of data that can be used, and thus this is the kind of like start of the importance and the usefulness of AI into the field that started like around the 2010 2015 16, and now it's accelerating all the way through all the aspects of plasma, like research in plasma physics. As you said, I like the experiments are very expensive. You cannot do what you want with the experiment. You have to kind of like simulate it, prove that it's safe before like pushing the button and let it do the fusion. So what AI and machine learning helped, what aspect of the research did AI help the most? Is it more into the experimental part or more into the engineering part?
So it's kind of interesting. I like to see AI as a statistical tool, right? And I think Ahmed is going to agree. So it's like we've been using AI not like for a long time, for as long as we've done science, which is a statistical tool when we start acquiring data. So Bayesian is something we've done quite a bit to try to understand if our data makes sense, if these are real. So we've used that already. Now, the new version of AI, which is like, well, you have like multiple agent and all that, tools that can do things much faster than you, write code faster and all that, so you can analyze. That is helpful, right? It is super helpful to look at the data. But I mean, all of them require a large set of data to be able to make sense out of it, just like statistics. So the biggest challenge is to produce the data. Hence, there will always need to be some experiment. Always. Okay. So you go with that. So we need an experiment to generate data. So once you have a like terabyte, gigabyte, whatever of data set, then you can train your AI. And AI, what AI is going to do now, instead of you parsing through all this data, AI will kind of summarize and say, hey, listen, you've done this experiment. Next, try to change this parameter, which you usually don't do. You take a small experiment in my lab, for example, you sit in the lab, you change the knob to understand a phenomena, to isolate a phenomena, for example. You do sequentially, you be careful, you make sure things make sense, they're reproducible. That could take like days, right? Step-by-step approach. So you want a clean data, right? Now with AI can say, well, based on what I've seen the past 2 days, I think you should turn this knob as opposed to the latter knob. So you go that route. So it allows you to get things a little faster. And I think this is going to be the trend. AI is going to, but it would need always a large amount of data. So a new field that you start, let's just say, man, you start a new field, complete, no data. AI has no game there, right? So it would be all the fusion, and I said fusion experiment had like 40 years of data accumulated. Now you got to put all this 40 years, like clean up the data and then apply now AI to it. Yes, it will help, and we are currently using it in all fusion devices to speed up calculation, to go in regime that otherwise we won't go to because we are time constrained. It's obviously used to control the plasma, how to control the plasma fast. I mean, this is part of your field, Ahmed. So I think it will grow. But let's not lose sight of the fact that it will always require data.
More than that, I mean, just being a statistician and working with like wet lab type experiments where you're actually physically doing something. So if I look at the data and even using statistical methods, not even to AI yet, I try and make some statistical design on like to go to regimes we haven't gone to.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the scientists are like, yeah, you can't do that. Like,
Correct.
I can't
Correct.
go from this to this. Like, I had to
Correct.
do all these things to get that.
Correct.
And the AI and the machine learning, like even statistics, and even those of us with best intentions don't know your field and what's possible yet, even at all. So from that standpoint, we can give suggestions, but there's a
Correct.
lot of hype around putting all of these sort of things in AI's hands in like
Right.
automatic lab type things.
Right.
And that
Right.
we're really far off from that for a
Yeah.
lot of reasons, one of which is this issue we're talking about.
No, 100%, 100%. The self-guided stuff, I mean, it's not, we're not quite there. There's some regime that you got to be careful, especially for experiment. If you want to trust the data, if you want to publish it, that would take time. So I think, yeah, there's AI in some places, people throw that around, but not all places. I mean, I think at
It's
some
money
point,
to get funding. Now everything is funded with AI in it.
yeah, unfortunately, this is
Even
where
the
the trend is
government.
going. Yeah, the government is leading toward with the Genesis project that we should use AI as much as possible. But I think one of the thing I can see where it's very helpful is to bring all the data from multiple researcher. For a long time, AI data has been isolated to a group. The other group doesn't even know what kind of data they have, and maybe there's overlap, maybe not. So I think it would allow the community, the scientific community, to work together by parsing all the data across different regime, right, in some community. So I think it's totally valuable, but I think you have to also be cautious about where you can and cannot apply.
Speaking about Genesis, can you explain a little
Okay.
bit this Genesis project, which is, and I quote, the National Initiative to Harness Artificial Intelligence for Scientific Discovery.
Right.
Yeah.
So Genesis mission, it's called a mission. I think it was led by Undersecretary Dario Gil at Department of Energy, who came with this. So basically, it's to apply to go to the national lab and all the scientific endeavor that I go and apply AI as much as possible and speed up scientific discovery a little bit. And what I mean by that is, what is meant by that is, okay, let's try to advance scientific discovery as much as possible so quickly. And so it forces, I wouldn't say forces, it's a good incentive for multiple national labs to work together, university or people that have large data set, pull the data set together to see if we can go beyond just human discovery and then add AI to accelerate by a little bit. I don't know about how much we're going to accelerate, but it should make things, streamline things a little more. That's the excitement bit. And like I say, there's a lot of field where there's a ton of data. And what can you do with the data? And unless you go to a mission base where it's government top down, it becomes difficult to do it. And he's trying to, I mean, Derek Gill and the Genesis mission, they're trying to make it a national effort so that in 3 years or 4 years, we can see that we moved the needle in scientific discovery. So this is something that we're going to all wait to see in a year or two. But I do feel like, yes, it has its potential. I'm sure that it's also challenging to get a lot of people to work together, than I used to. But that's the only source of funding, and I'm one of the main source of funding, and the excitement is there. So maybe we'll move the needle this way.
But simple question: aren't they doing this already? The labs, like I see in Lawrence Livermore, like they are sharing the
Yep.
data, publishing the
Sure.
data.
Yep.
So what is this adds to it? And they didn't wait for this initiative to already use AI to help them
Yeah,
with
that's
like
right.
simulations and things. So
So I would say you're right. Livermore has been using AI for a while for studying ignition and all that, and all the physics they're doing. That's totally true. I think Livermore is doing it because it's a national lab. Livermore is a national lab. It always thinks at the bound, at the edge, next thing, what we should do in 10, 20 years. But I think what this Genesis mission is trying to do is percolate that, diffuse that across the whole complex, meaning all the nationals. There's about 7 national lab, and then also do a public partnership, have the private sector also help out. So basically the idea is like, well, while Livermore is doing it, there are probably a small lab somewhere that is not quite there at this level. Let's have them work together so that everyone works at the same pace and at the same knowledge, applying this into AI technique into other field. So I think it's more of an effort to coordinate effort across the US, more than, other people have done that. Yeah, but not everyone is the same page. So maybe this is a good coordination effort, which could potentially yield some good result when everyone work together.
Okay, I see. And what would be, I guess the other question is like, for Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory, what is their position with machine learning tools? Like, do you already have the tools ready? Like, do you use them? Like, what's the policy?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of work being done in machine learning at PPPL at the moment. We even have like a new division created that does digital twinning, for fusion devices. So I would say, yes, there's a lot of effort being put. I mean, I wouldn't say that we can do more, for sure. PPL can do more in terms of putting machine learning everywhere, but it's still, I think it's a good step in the right direction. It took time, but I think machine learning code development, machine learning in understanding how to do digital twin, for example, digital twin of an STXU, which is a good thing actually. It's been getting traction. So yeah, I think I would definitely say it is there. Digital twinning is like basically what happened. I think for the audience out there, I just give you a simple example. You look at an engine. So, okay, you build a car, right? You build a car, and what you want to do is you want to, for example, listen to the car when it runs, and then potentially identify where the problem is. And to do so, what you do, you create a twin of the system that is basically digital. So you say, listen, I know how the engine perform from the first fluid dynamic and
Like
what are the temperature rise. Yeah, it's like a simulation if you, but you want to map the simulation to a real system. What I mean by that is you measure the temperature, for example, of the gas, the exhaust, and you make sure that matches a digital twin, right? You measure the internal, the flow of the gas into the combustion in a combustion chamber. You know all the parameter. You measure that all the parameter, and then you replicate your car in digitally as it operates. So then the day, for example, you see something that breaks, you go and say, hey, listen, I heard this noise. I give you a simple noise. That might be something rattling here. And then you see from the digital twin, if you can make out where it comes from. And then, so basically you understand the engine without having to take it apart. Now, this is very common in the auto industry. It's common in airplane, an airplane industry for turbine to understand how they perform, how to improve it. But it requires a lot of data. So you need to measure at each point, to really have the fidelity that's required, right? And then that's what digital twin is about. So, but then fusion reactor are not operating right now, but we need to start building it. And so there's an interest for the world to start digital twinning what they're going to build. But yeah, it is, once you're in an industry, this is an expensive industry where you don't want to take things apart all the time, or you want to continue developing to make it like cheaper, to reduce some of the overhead as you build a system. What you do, you create a model which is effectively called a digital twin. I hope that's clear. But yeah, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, 20 years by now.
No, we're getting closer. Next decade, we get something.
No, for sure, for sure. So what is the next, I would say, like big step that we want to reach in fusion? Like we did this ignition. Is it the ignition for the ITER part? Like what is the next step that is like showing us that like we are
Okay.
closer? What do you think?
So I think there are quite a few. Actually, the private sector actually is moving fast, and there are some company that plan to have a fusion power plant, a pilot plant, if you wish, or a demonstrator, if you wish, in few years. So the next big step would be to have a private company build, get a demonstration, few years, and then after that, the next big thing in the next decade will definitely be a power plant that produces a little bit of electricity, even if it's not economical, but puts electron on the grid. Those are the big milestones that we need to look out for in the next 15 years, right? So during the next 15 years, so this is bound to happen in the next decade, like 2030s, mid 2030s. We get something that demonstrate that. And the reason is not, I mean, and people look at a timeline, but I think if you think about it, it's not like it just requires a lot of component that we have never built, that basically that would take about a year lead time, and then you have integration. It doesn't work. You start over, you change, and then that would take at least 5 years easily. And then it's true that you hear it and there's PR, so people expect tomorrow, and some people want to hear it like in a decade. They're like, well, I'm going to do something else. But I think that it is a tough problem to solve from the engineering standpoint. So if someone comes to tell you tomorrow I have something ready, I started today, tomorrow, there's no way. So you should just walk away. So this is to give you a sense.
Yeah, but do you think like the partnership, private public, would kind of help accelerate things? Because I know like from many friends who worked in both private and public, they said like the private sector kind of like move things quicker, and the fact that there's partnership kind of shifted the things to quicker. Do you see that in general in research?
Yes, in fusion, there's a lot more public-private partnership, and one of the main reason is like these are very expensive experiment test reactors, like billions and billions. So you don't expect a venture capitalist to inject a lot of money. I mean, $1 billion billions and billions. So it's kind of becomes difficult. So I think fusion requires, I believe, in my opinion, that still public-private partnership for the next like 5 to 10 years. And then after that, I think once one system is built, fusion system is built, then it could shift completely to private. So I can say in the US, there are like public-private partnership, which was called a milestone program. So basically, it's a program that DOE put together where basically you invite the fusion company to apply. And when they're awarded, you say, okay, I want you to meet this milestone, which is like, for example, I want you to build a coil of this dimension that is aligned with your roadmap, that could produce this kind of field, magnetic field, blah, blah, blah. And then you use all your money or venture capitalist money and you do it. If you succeed, the government reimburses you. Okay. So that's a model that SpaceX used to be able to develop the rocket launcher at the beginning. So I would say it has been successful in other field, and now we're adopting that in fusion. And I think this is good. The only difference is we knew how to launch a rocket already, but the SpaceX model was effectively to make it reusable and cheaper so that NASA can use it more regularly. So, but fusion, there's no commercial fusion power plant. We just achieve ignition. So I believe it requires a little bit more capital from government, given that the benefits are huge, are much larger than launching rockets. So I definitely say that's definitely needed for the next 5 to 10 years for sure. And it would be good if the government inject a lot more, actually.
Yeah, I was
To
going
not
to
be
say,
shy.
like, how is the government's money going? Like you see as investment in the US or
It's
internationally?
okay. I think in the US started this, which is good. I would say it's not enough. It's like few tens of millions. It could be easily billions if the government could convince if you can convince the senators and the House to vote for that. But in Europe, for example, you take Germany, which is a country where the public-private partnership is stronger right now, and I feel like that's a good angle. The German government is pushing by working with the private sector to accelerate fusion on the grid. I think this is a good example that we should do more of that, and it's needed. It's needed. It's a win-win for both the public sector but the private sector, which is what you want. Um, and then you also have one ideal thing is you also have scrutiny from the government. The government will also require to see the reports, which will be reviewed or peer reviewed by government scientists in general. And so you have less likely, I mean, less of a chance to have like bogus report, right? Reviewed, you have the expert looking at that to see if it is gonna work. Is the result met? Is the result or the milestone met? Yes or no? Uh, I think that's one advantage. So the win part is government injects money, uses his own scientists, the scientists from the government to basically vet the process or vet the milestone. But there's also some return on that investment by training some scientists to do this. But also, if we're successful, then you're gonna benefit from electricity from fusion. So I think that's I think that's the right model, and it's the most optimal model. If you have VC, I mean, you can think of the other one. Just say private money pours a ton of money in it. That's good, also, right? Billions of billion. That's okay. But at that point, the private sector will have to be open enough to have their system reviewed by the public sector. So this is, I mean, I think so far the best scientists are in national lab. Well, I wouldn't say the best scientists. There's a lot of scientists in the national lab. They are best. There are some that are super good, and that really can give you an unbiased opinion on something.
Mm, mm.
So a comment from chat says that MIT has been working on fusion for a while. They created a tape-like measurement mechanism that's considered safe, but they can't keep it heated long enough for scale. Do you know about this, or is chat off base?
So you're right. MIT's been working on fusion for a long time. That's correct. And there's a company called
CFS,
Commonwealth
is it the Commonwealth Fusion thing?
Fusion. Yeah, the Commonwealth Fusion System is a spin-off of MIT. Yes, they are using a tape to make a magnetic field, a coil out of it, a conductor, and then a coil. So yes, they are choosing a route to use strong magnets to be able to get fusion performance and to increase the fusion performance. They plan to have a demonstration in a couple of years, in a couple of years. So I think they're on track for this. There's a lot of progress. You can go online on what they're building, and it's exciting. And it's the leading contender now in fusion demonstration at the moment. So to answer the chat, yes, there is interest. They are now integrating the system, and we're all eagerly waiting for the first plasma and the first demonstration.
Once they have this thing, is it open source? Like they're going to share it with everyone to be able to reproduce or something, or it's like trade kept?
I don't know. I think, given that this is venture capitalist backed, I would say some of things would be trade secret, some of there would be IP. I don't think it will be open source. I doubt that. This is how they get supposed to make money. Once you build the first reactor, you're the only one that has done it. Reactor grade, you're going to go build a commercial one, and after that, you get better at it. You start selling commercial plant to other people, other countries, other communities, and off you go and start making money.
Mm.
So you want to minimize what you share for sure.
Yeah, I guess. Is CFS like the best venture VC company you think that would achieve this commercial?
CFS has been started before. It's been, I mean, raised a total of $4 billion so far. Yes, it's the leading contender. Um, it basically leverage most of the knowledge from from the national lab, PSFC, which is Plasma Science and Fusion, PSFC Science and Fusion Center. So definitely they're the leading contender, but there's a lot of close seconds, such as what's it called again? I mean, in terms of backing funding, I think there is Pacific Fusion. There are a bunch of them, and there's Proxima Fusion in Germany. I mean, the list is getting long, but I mean, there are a few contender at the top here, and they're all moving at their own pace.
Aren't you scared of like this brain drain from national labs to this venture capital kind of companies, startups that kind of will slow the national lab public interests kind of effort?
Yeah, I can see this. I mean, I'm going to give you the same example for computer science, right? Computer science was done elsewhere, right? And now all the computer scientists get pulled into Google and all that. So, yes, it is bound to happen. Um, should I be scared? I think, the system should regulate itself either by doing, there will be always people that want to work in national lab and other would want to have more an entrepreneurial role or be on a cutting edge differently. So I would say that national labs should just reinvent itself to become, to be at a super cutting edge of research, to the point that some people might love to be a super cutting edge thing that no one has thought about. And then once it goes to a private startup, or if a startup, then you have a part of the national lab scientists that might go, other will stay. So yes, I think you have to have enough of multiple flavors in particular. So yes, I'm not scared. I think that what it takes is like the government and national lab need to be reinventing themselves even more.
Mm. Um, Another question, more like kind of a career question. I am a student who is starting my university. Is it a good field to dive in to study with all what we hear about like AI, machine learning, things that are not useful? Is the university or education useful or anything? And the status of fusion right now and stuff. Is it still worth it to become a plasma physicist and to invest and study to become one?
I think I like to put it this way. If you start undergrad, yeah, just do physics and math and all the STEM engineering, whatever. This is gonna help. I'm like a big proponent of that. I say, listen, you can go study other stuff, law, whatever. So many lawyers around. So I would say just study STEM, science, even anything, math, whatever. Because I think for 2 3 years you can do that, and after that you can now dive into to something more plasma physics if you want in grad school if you want. But you have enough ammunition that you should be able to do anything. For example, if I look at fusion power plant, right? The fusion power plant has like all sort of trait, in terms of discipline that you study. You have chemists, you have mechanical engineer, you have electrical engineer, you have like plasma physicists, you have everything. So people will be able to play a role somewhere if that's what you want for your future purpose. So, but at the end of the day, it needs to be STEM, okay? If you want to build a operator, but I'm sure there are other job for sure. But I'm thinking, someone who wants to study, I would say stay science, and then that gives you enough flexibility that in 3 4 5 years you can choose now what really excites you.
What about plasma physics, like a PhD in plasma physics?
I don't know if a PhD in plasma physics exists. I would say most people do physics,
No,
right? There's
no,
some
no,
school that
it
do
exists. Plasma physics
well,
exists.
I know, but I would say I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I'm a physicist that studied plasma, and I would say that yes, it's good to know all about plasma physics, but I don't think it's that necessary. You can pick it up on the fly, you know.
Wait.
I think so. I think plasma physics. Just wait, give yourself the last 2 year grad school. Maybe you can dive into plasma because at some point, it's becoming plasma physics is becoming more and more applied. It used to be this esoteric field, many years ago. Only a few people know how to do. So you had to kind of learn from the beginning. But all the great player in plasma physics studied something else, and then fell in love with plasma physics down the road in their career. So it's something you can pick up definitely if you have the right training.
But you would say still physics as a math, like.
Sorry, I'm a little bit biased. I like physics, so I would say physics. I mean, at the very least, go some sort of engineering. But I think physics is kind of nice. It's just it gives you know enough about everything without knowing anything in depth, and then after that you go. I mean, I see Amanda laughing over there, but it's true. That's my mom. You just know enough. And then you understand the basic concept, but do you need to be super expert in it? I don't know. That's why physics. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I'm with you. I just a little bit about everything. It's just the physicists. I've worked with a lot of
That's
physicists
right. That's
because you
right.
can become like an astronomer. You could even become like
Correct.
material scientists. You could work on
Correct.
like the big beam lines. You can do so many
Correct.
cool things with a physics degree.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's true.
Correct.
A
So
lot
I
of people do
tend
data
to.
science too with a physics degree
Correct.
also.
Correct.
So
Correct. For example, I'll give you an example. Princeton Plasma Physics Lab, they had a big machine called Test Facility Reactor, TFTR, I think. Fusion tokamak test reactor. I mean, back in the 90s, I think when they shut it down, a lot of people went to Wall Street because they had enough physics that they could just like convert that into uh, trading, not necessarily trading, but building code for real-time trading, for example. So I would say yes.
Oh, the plasma. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So that a lot of people have done. And I think the conversion becomes easy. You understand how to build models, and then you can do like real-time trading if you need, or build code that does it with low latency. So you can become a computer scientist. I mean, one thing is hard for a physicist to become a mathematician completely, but I mean, I think that's, if they put their heart to it, they'll probably get to it. But yeah, there are other fields also. I mean, you don't have to stay physics all the way. You can do physics a year or class or two, and then pivot to engineering. But at least it gives you enough solid background.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So yes, definitely tell your the. I mean, this crew here, the games. This is good. That allows you to build a video game. See things differently with some physics reality, maybe.
do you ever play video games?
No, here's what it is. I suck at it. I tried. I'm not very good at it. My son made fun of me multiple times. He used to be gamer, and he would just say, "Listen, man, you just are terrible at it." I think first of all, I get distracted, and I'm thinking, well, how do they do this? How did they set up the screen? Oh, this is pretty cool. I wonder how they did it, and then I get sidetracked, and I think I didn't have the attention span to do it. But as an undergrad, as I think in elementary school, I built video game. I mean, I just build like a simple. I started. I mean, I'm very old, so I did GW. I built game with coding, so that was exciting, using physics principle and all. But those are the things that I kind of liked. I would say what's under the hood, but the whole game, no, never got attracted to it.
That's pretty cool, though. I was wondering, I do have to, while you were talking about how we're going to know more about the physics of
Yeah.
plasma by studying this, I did wonder about its applications to things like movies or video games because they use the physics simulations to make these things look realistic. I'm wondering
Right.
just like how downstream that is. I mean, it's probably pretty far, but I was just wondering because the audience is probably interested in something like that.
Yeah, I think. Oh, great. So, for instance, that's a pretty cool question actually, because I can imagine, if you have games in interstellar medium, right, where there's plasma, I can imagine you really need to put plasma physics at work in terms of the physics to be able to see, for example, someone launches a wave and how it will reflect, because you can think of a beam, a laser that you point at someone, it goes directly in air. And a plasma things, if you launch a wave, it might just be reflect, it would diffract differently. And so you can shoot at someone without being in the same line of sight. So I think that that's probably where you get to play those games. Now, plasma physics can come in also if you have a video game where you produce power with your fusion reactor and then you beam the power out. You probably need some plasma physics how to make it work. And if you want to go into detail how it does work, which I think that initially you will just assume a simple box, and then as you become more and more refined, you can add some more modeling, and that's where AI can help because you might have a digital twin of a fusion reactor already, and then you can just say, all right, I have one that has been well put together. I'm going to use it now. So uh, I think that people can think about it. It could be exciting. I just need to see if there's a market, if there's interest.
Well, I think there's interest. Every sci-fi movie you see ever, they're like, "This is our reactor." Like, it's
Correct,
a little thing,
correct,
and
correct,
this is the
correct.
technology that they're talking about.
That's correct. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
aren't
a good
you
point.
like what's the movie that used plasma physics? Iron Man? Iron
Yeah,
Man?
Iron Man. Yeah, that's right. Iron Man. Yeah,
Aren't
yeah,
you? Do you agree with
Is
whatever?
it accurate?
Is it?
yeah. That's funny. Yeah, the little reactor on the chest. Yeah, I think it's interesting, but from a physics point of view, the neutron will just burn through you. All the byproducts. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, it's like yes, this is great if you think about just extracting power, but frankly, that size is almost impossible. And then even if you do that, you need to shield yourself so much that it becomes bulky. Otherwise, you're gonna just you're gonna get fried by the neutron bombarding you. So it's not as accurate, but it gives you a good sense that okay, you can have a compact source, that produce abundance energy, right? So you don't have to worry about changing your battery, let's just say.
And you can fly. That's great.
Yes, well, if you have abundant energy, you can fly. You don't have to stop. For example, there's a fusion company looking at called Illicit Space, looking at just time, travel in space. Where you have enough energy that you can go in deep space. There. So I think you're less constrained by energy if you think about it, which is actually a good thing, right, down the road. So I can imagine multiple generation down the road, there will be people thinking about it, how to do that, and then you go explore other
But,
planets and other universes.
what about Musk's data center around the uh, orbiting around the Earth? Have you heard about this?
I heard. I don't know. I can't really comment because this is
As a
like one guy.
physicist, how do we do that?
I don't know. I'm not sure how he's gonna do. I mean, going even to Mars, even going to Mars and have like a place there, it's just bizarre. It's like, how are you gonna do this? But anyway, I like people bring these challenges, and now you have to think of how to do it. And the devil's in the detail down the road, and so I've heard of it, but I just did not bother to look to double check how it's gonna work.
No, but the data centers, this is like a very important topic because like
Right,
these
right.
are
For
like
for
happening right
heat,
now.
yeah, for heat rejection, yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. But I mean, there will be other challenges. You have like X-rays, cosmic ray bombarding a data, so you'll probably have to shield it in a way to protect glitches. Yeah, this is interesting from a heat point of view, heat management point of view. You No, you have to build one, test it, and see if it's economical. And then you're quickly going to sound that it's not economical. Flying data center, I don't know.
No, no,
That's
no, not
one.
flying. I'm talking about on down to earth. Like the how do you fuel these crazy data centers? Like
Okay. Oh, you talk in general. Yeah, the energy for data center. Yes, well, you need a source of abundance energy. Again, I'll go back to fusion or fission, or you need to you need to co-locate data center to co-locate like a power plant, period, that produce megawatts, like maybe 10, 20, 100 megawatts, or maybe 500 megawatts, however you want to do it. And then you can have like an array of data center. Then you can spin those, because then, yeah, you can cool it, spin it. You have a ton of energy. You're not limited by energy. And then you could train a lot of this. That's immense, right? So someone can do that, and a lot of people are thinking about it. Yes, you would train, you would have advanced models, so you have an edge from other people, other companies, that's for sure. But is it the best use of energy? That's a fundamental question. I don't know. This is something that I'm
That's true.
torn about it.
No, but I'm curious because, these people who are convincing opinions and politics that we need these data centers, why they are not like investing like their circular economy to the fusion as a solution for their abundant.
So fusion, I think a lot of people view it as down the road, like in 10, 15 years, we want something immediately. And I would say that's a reason. Some are investing. Microsoft is investing. I think Google also. So I feel like, yeah, there are people investing, but it's not mainstream for the government just yet, because we haven't put electron on the grid. Fusion has not put electron on the grid, and that will change as soon as we put one electron on the grid. It becomes viable, right? And then we have to have built multiple fusion power plant to really reduce the cost, because we understand better how to build a power plant, right? So to answer your question, I think it's the lack of confidence from the politician at the moment that fusion is there. So they prefer to bet on something more immediate.
Yeah.
So by saying putting an electron on the grid, now that you've said that enough times, I have to ask, does that just mean that you're supplying some energy to the grid?
Exactly. Electron is like some energy. Initially, to really be net positive is like, once you produce fusion power, you boil water, you go to a turbine, you spin turbine, and you put some electricity in the grid. But you need some electricity that you produce, you need to go also to continue sustaining your fusion power plant. Okay, that's come from somewhere. So you take a little bit to sustain your fusion power plant, so everyone's happy, the fusion run. But at the end, you have to be net, meaning that you put just a little bit on the grid. And then that goes, and then you can turn your light bulb, you can say, yes, I got fusion out of this. Great. Now, after that, you need to think about putting enough out that you start competing with other source of energy, basically 50 cents a kilowatt or whatever you can produce is cost competitive, that you beat, for example, others. That's another idea. Then you might have like people say, well, I don't need to be cost competitive with oil and gas.
You're going to.
I could be like 5 times higher, but you're gonna have people in the population that say, well, I want to buy that because it's clean. Okay, so that's a different market, right? It's like, the rich people might say, I want this kind of energy. Okay, this is fair. So yeah, so I think that's what I mean by electronic grid, just a little bit to go to the grid. Baby step.
I want to understand, like a power plant like ITER, for example, the whole ITER experiment. How much power can we expect ITER, like if ITER was like doing ignition and producing power?
So first of all, ITER is not a power plant. Okay, it would be a test facility, but if it were, because they're supposed to produce 10 times power than you put in, right? So you look at how much power you deliver to the fusion to heat the plasma, and how much you get. So it was supposed to be 10 times. Okay, so once you go through heating, the boiling water and turbine spinning, you probably only have 30% of that left, right? And now, if you want, you can put it in a grid, but it doesn't make sense, because if you put all of it in a grid, you will still draw from the grid to start it up. So you really need to have more than what you draw, and ITER is not set up for it, because ITER was just a test facility, just like Livermore. Livermore demonstrated, but it's not something that can be converted to a power plant.
Yeah, and that was never their plan to put it.
Exactly. And ITER, it was never the plan. ITER was just, let's demonstrate, because we understand when you go to 10 times more fusion, 10 times more power than what you put, the physics challenge is going to be huge. And we don't even know that because everything we've done is so below what we put in terms of fusion power output that when you go 10 times more, we are pretty much sure the physics is going to change. The risk is going to be higher and we need to control better. So this is more of a fundamental understanding. And once we understand that, you can go back and validate the code. You basically can extrapolate for 100 times more fusion power output, blah, blah, blah. So I think extrapolation becomes easier after that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're far away from like each house has its own fusion plant.
Yeah, no. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's not gonna be viable, commercially viable, because it costs too much to build one. It's expensive.
Yeah. But at least, as you were saying, I think it's interesting to see like this partial kind of like we already have it in our electricity. PG&E in California, you can choose like 25% renewable and things like that.
Right.
And
Yep,
use
that's right. It will be part of the mix. That's correct.
Yeah, I think the US I think it's one of the least industrialized country that use the renewable like energy, which is crazy. Like Europe in general, in average, is like 50%, but
Yeah,
the US is like less than 20%.
I
So,
see. Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't looked at this in a while. I think that, yeah, it's not everywhere you have renewable, to be honest with you. Solar plants, and hydraulic and geothermal, I don't think there's enough to
yeah.
be part of a large, make a large portion of the mix. But California is good. California is probably ahead of that, right?
For now, yeah.
Okay, I see.
We have there's no permanent continuity in these things. It's when you mix politics and human decisions in it, you don't know. And this is a subject that should not be politics, like should not be political subject. Like everyone wants energy, right? And abundant energy, as you're saying. So
That's right.
this should not be discussed. This should be agreed upon everyone. So yeah, I don't know where we are with that, but you know.
We get there.
That's good. That's after how many years in your career you're still optimistic. That gives me
I
hope.
think I think I'm very optimistic, and one of the reasons why is just I have a faith in humankind that we have to be better. We have we have to achieve this. I mean, we know it's possible, and I keep telling people, that okay, even if this generation doesn't achieve it the way we quite like it, our kids, great kind of kids, to pick up the torch and say, listen, we can do it. But it is viable. It is very possible, and this is the moment actually, um, to go away from a lab to putting things together, breaking, and then iterating until we get there. And that's how I see. I trust humankind should do better. Because I mean, otherwise, if we still
Good.
continue burning wood and burning gas to get energy, I feel like that's a little bit pedestrian. So that's why.
Agreed. And we're getting close to the end. So
Sure.
what's next for you in terms of career?
So I'm gonna join Proxima Fusion, which is a fusion startup in Germany, Munich, and they're based on stellar.
You're joining the other force, the other side of
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
going, yeah, instead of tokamak, which is different, which is under magnetic fusion, confinement fusion. I'm going to a stellarator. Yes, so I'm joining there, and I'm going to become the head of global partnership, and we'll push through to get a first demonstrators soon, like next in the 2030s, and then the plant later. So yes, I'm. That's the next move for me, and I worked for the government for many years, a contractor, and also worked for Department of Energy for 3.5 years, almost 4 years now. And now it's time to do something different, and the startup world is exciting. Things move a lot faster, and we can try stuff. And there's venture capital investment, so maybe we can do this with the support of the government, I'm hoping, because I think it'll be nice to have the public fund also aligned with it, which shows, to my taste, which shows that actually the community as a whole really wants fusion. The more you get public fund, the more you know that, okay, it's not only me and the venture capitalists, but it's like everybody is seeing that this is something that needs to happen, and we are the team to do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
still going to
Stellarator is a different concept, which is twisted fields, twisted plasma. So it's an exciting concept that actually was born out of Princeton by a professor called Lyman Spitzer, but was abandoned once the Russians showed that a different concept had like more performance. And but however, with the advent of like supercomputing, like cluster, we're able now to do more modeling fast. And then there's a whole new device that was built in Germany called W7X that basically was built, I would say, on computer, but that was built together. It took about 10 years, and then so far, the experiment seems to be validating the calculation that were done before. So that gives you confidence that the model you built, have all the key elements. So now you can use that to say, all right, we validated a model. So now we can use the model to extrapolate to the power plant, which is beefier, more power, more fusion power output. So that's something that is more of a renaissance of an old concept that's, I think, to my taste, very amenable to a fusion power plant.
So you are going to put some electron on the grid in Germany.
Exactly. So the goal is to put put an electron on the grid. Absolutely, that's the thing, because you get fusion. If you can't put electron, it becomes hard, because no one pays attention, right? So you gotta have this. I mean, you always have to connect with the rest of the community. This household flips a light switch. It's like, this comes from fusion. It's gonna same electricity, won't tell the difference, but I don't know if you've seen some people around the house, maybe in California, have like, I'm fully powered by solar, they have like this pamphlet, right? Same thing. Maybe we'll get to I'm fully powered by fusion, so who knows? That could be something in the future. The next generation will be excited to brag about it.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
This is great.
Yeah, no, it's great. Is there more questions, Mandy, from the chat, or Bob?
Well,
Chat has been. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, if chat has one, that we should.
I was saying they don't. They've been following us along really well and talking about different fusion and in Hail Mary and some other things, but
Hail Mary,
Project Hail Mary, but no questions at the moment. So go ahead, Bob. Shoot.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask. We're coming to the end here, so just to make it a little more silly, do you have a favorite like depiction? And for you, it could be two things. Do you have a favorite depiction of like an AI in media, like a movie or a TV show or a book? And second part, do you have a favorite depiction of like your field, like some kind of thing that's like a plasma physics, phenomenon or technology that is used dramatically and represented somehow in movie, TV, book?
Ooh. Plasma favorite depiction. I think depiction. Everyone probably a plasma gun. Just like create like or plasma sword, if you wish. You light up a plasma
like
in
Star
air.
Wars kind of sword?
Yeah, I think like
Star Wars. Who is your favorite one? Is it Star Wars lightsabers?
Okay, all right. So you know what? I'm not that kind of geek because I did not watch Star Wars, and I'm still like one of the rare. I'm sure I'm offending your people here because I don't watch it. I'm still like one of the. I think not everyone should watch it, and I'm one of those that I refuse to watch it. But I would say, so I don't know anyone in Star Wars. I heard a lot about them, and there's a lot of reference about that. But I would say my favorite depiction would be, we make like a plasma sword, which is probably done already, but how to do it and then basically using to cut metals. I mean, we can do this and a big one, that would be good. A few movies like that probably have that. The first one I don't know, to be honest with you. AI character, you said?
Yeah, well, it could be, you know, the Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Could be, I don't know, iRobot. There are lots of different versions of like AI, and some of them are completely ridiculous.
Most
But
of them.
Okay.
I was just curious
A
if there
movie
were
I
any
don't
that you
know.
particularly liked because they're good
No.
or because they're bad.
Or it's fun. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be
No.
realistic.
No, I like more the realistic. So I'm all in AI robots, and I'm like, I want to see more of those. So maybe it's not real. So well, those are real, but maybe it's not fun enough. Sorry, I get practical very quickly, and
No, you're
this
fine.
thing, I'm just like, whatever. I just can't. I look at it like, oh, So I think I'm getting made fun at home here, but my kids just say like, man, you're useless. You don't know all this. I'm like, yeah, I just never got attracted to it. Again, I wish I knew a little bit more. I'm sorry, but I think, maybe if I'd done a lot of video gaming, I would have remembered some of the characters. But I lose track of the character's name very quickly. So,
No, you're fine. You are absolutely not the first guest who was kind of
oh,
like,
really?
I'm not that kind of nerd. Sorry, guys. But then I guess a follow up. So you're not like a big gamer or whatever. Do you have? Is there a thing that you are really nerdy about outside of? Obviously, you're very knowledgeable and focused on your career. But do you like paint? You know, Warcraft, Warhammer
No,
figurines, or is there anything that you're really into?
I'm really into barbecuing. That's number one. Second of
Oh
all,
no,
like,
I love cooking. That's a good one.
I like my bike, my fixie bike. So it's the simplest thing, mechanical object, but I enjoy
Mm.
it.
What kind of
Just
bike do
easy
you
to take
have?
care of. I have like a fixie single gear,
Oh,
simple. Just like I got a frame like 17 years ago. Got the tires, built it, and biking. I really enjoy it because I just no brake. But now I'm getting old, so I put a brake now. But it feels the kind of thing I do, and was barbecue and hang out. I love hanging out. I'm a social guy, so I like to hang out with people and learn from other people's culture. Just like
Mm.
we're chatting, I don't go into details. So I would say those are the things that I do that are not nerdy. Uh,
Do you have your own rub recipe? Do you have like is it a certain region or a certain
No,
you know?
unlike I don't do that barbecue. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I like to take, so I'll go get a nice piece of meat myself. This is where I spend the time more getting nice piece of meat because I want to, well, maybe the vegetarian will not appreciate that, but I want to smell the piece of meat, right? So I usually tend to stick to salt and pepper, just
Sure.
simplest, because I want to extract as much taste from the piece of meat than rub. So I've been like against all the rubs and all that because take the flavor take comes in really quickly. I'm like, well, no. I just want to separate. Well, I'm a big also fish fan for sushi and all that because this is something I learned when I was undergrad. When I went to Japan, it's just like the fresh fish taste to be able to close your eyes and feel the fresh fish. Just like it's not quiet taste, obviously. It's like drinking a nice glass of wine, kind of thing. You want to understand where it came, which region. That comes without mixing anything. Just take it as raw as possible, except for the meat you grill a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a more of a purist at that angle, and I know that when I go to South or Texas, you have the barbecue rubs and all that, the barbecue sauces. But for me, it just buries the taste, right? And then basically what comes out is just how well you can do your mix, your sauce. But yeah,
Yeah.
don't let me discourage you. But I think this is what I was. I go to Japan, for example. That's why I like the Wagyu beef, and then you're like, oh my god, these cows been massaged. Let me see what we get, right?
Wagyu
Yeah,
But
no,
beef.
yeah,
I love cooking. I love to learn. I mean, anything new about cooking. So no
yeah,
judgment at all. I think
yeah.
that's really
That's
interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, this is great, guys. Thank you so much. And so tell me, Bob, are you playing at the same time?
Yeah. This is me. How do
Wow.
I show? Nope,
Okay.
not that.
Okay.
Nope. There it is. So this is
Okay.
my character. This is actually a server that we have. I think Campco is on. Yeah, who is in chat, has been in chat, and she's a volunteer. But this is
Okay.
This is my new house, I guess, that
I see. So you're building.
I
Okay.
yeah, because this is a fairly new server, so I didn't have any official sort of base. I was just sharing with everyone, but I have way too many sheep now, and yeah, I'm hoping to build this whole mountaintop into my base at some point, but
You
that's going
should
to be a lot
start
of work.
thinking about energy, Bob. A fusion plant somewhere.
Well, there are actually entire mods you can add to this game where it adds electricity as a component, and you can have solar power, and you can have it's sort of a version of like the Iron Man arc reactor, sort of, not real physics, but that is absolutely a thing you can add to the game. But this is very normal vanilla Minecraft is very medieval in a lot of ways.
Nice.
But,
That's super nice.
But yeah, we are getting to the end of the scheduled time, so I don't want to be respectful of your time.
That's good. Thank you.
But Ahmed, is there anything that you want to direct people towards? Something you're working on, your band that you play with, or
I would definitely direct people to pay attention to fusion as much as you can, and ask a tough question about energy. Energy is critical, and I want people to really realize that energy abundance is, I think, one lever to reduce war. And I think that I want your team, people out there, to think about it, how to create more energy. And fusion is one of them. I mean, I'll be happy to hear something else, another type of energy that doesn't burn and produce any kind of waste. So I would say think about it, and let's keep thinking about it constantly. Ask this question, and it's good to have that. It's a bit philosophical, but I think you have to think about it. And maybe it's going to make you a better human or whatever, because you're going to be conscious of how much energy you burn. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, the two of you, the three of you. It's been great. I really liked the discussion. It came from all over. Didn't expect a lot of the question, but yeah, this is fun.
Thank you so much for your time. I think we learned a lot. I think Chad learned a lot and had a lot of fun too, I think.
Very good. Very good. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll continue talking. Thanks, Iman. Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks for your
Good
time.
Bye,
luck.
everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, chat. Now is the time on Sprockets when we dance. That was a very interesting conversation, and I have to say I'm impressed with you, chat. You really hung in there and followed along on some relatively complex and cool science stuff. But now it's time to wrap it up. Don't forget, you can always help out Real Good AI and play on this Minecraft server if you're interested in that by volunteering. If you want to keep up with what's going on, if you want to know what our guests are going to be, you should follow our socials. You could also subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll get newsletter blasts in your email inbox on a regular cadence. There are a lot of ways that you can engage with us, follow what we're doing, learn more about what we're trying to accomplish, and help if you are so inclined. So check out the website, realgoodai.org. That's where everything is based, everything you can get involved with, everything fun and interesting you can learn about. It should all be there. And also the volunteer sign-up stuff is on the website. Oh no, did I close it? I have a thing. Next Thursday, we're going to be doing a special all-day team stream. Not with Real Good staff members all day, but with me all day and with Real Good staff members for some of it, because they have actual jobs. They have to do that outside of the scheduled stream time. But it's going to be a long stream because we're going to be raising money to do something kind of cool with the scary tapes. If you don't know what the scary tapes are, it's a writing competition. Submissions are already closed. Sorry to break your heart. But if we're currently in the judging phase, and we're going to look to raise enough money to be able to do a really cool anthology. So right now there's going to be 5 winners, which are hopefully going to be, not hopefully, the plan to be made into 5 episodes, podcast episodes, to be read by myself, Mark, and or Wade. However that works out for us to read them. And, we don't know what the stories are, so we don't know how the production is going to go. But that's not enough winners, honestly, because we've been reading some really good ones and some really interesting, well-written stories. And we would like to do an anthology where we take more than just the 5 like top winners and include them in a collection of stories that then you, the public, will be able to purchase from some sort of outlet. That just takes investment. We're sort of maxed out on the budget that we have allotted for Scary Tapes right now. So we're going to do a stream and talk about what we've been reading and enjoying vaguely, because we don't want to influence any judges who might end up watching or the outcome, because it's not decided yet. But we just want to be able to collect and celebrate and publish more stories than will be able to be in the 5 podcast episodes, because there are a lot of really good ones. So it'll be a fun stream. But also, if you want to support that, we really want to make this anthology. We just need, the sort of upfront investment to do the work, to do the editing, to do the layout of the book itself. It's just kind of a process to get a book together. If you've ever published or self-published, you probably know the pain and the expense that comes with. But so that'll be fun. And it's probably between 2 and 4 Eastern, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. We'll have members of the staff on. I'll be playing games with the staff or just hanging out chatting, talk about AI stuff. We talk about Scary Tape stuff. Whatever you're interested in, you have to just come to the stream and ask. And then the week following that, August 20th, we're going to have Dr. Kunal Shah, who is a robotics engineer at NVIDIA. Yes, that NVIDIA. I don't know what a senior robotics engineer does at NVIDIA, because I mainly know them as graphics card company, a chip making company. So I'm very interested to see what Dr. Shah, I hope I'm saying that right, Dr. Shah has to say in terms of their perspective on what they're working on, what they have worked on, what NVIDIA is doing, how the AI industry is shaping up. So that'll be really fun. And right now I'm going to do the thing where I raid from my channel, all of you people who are over here watching me, into the real good
Just want to say one more thing about the Scary Tapes, because I've been super involved with all of them. First of all, thank you to everyone who's been reviewing them. You have no idea. You all are my heroes. We have almost reached our goal of having every story reviewed at least twice. I think we're going to meet that in the next few days here. And so that means that everyone gets a super fair shake. And from that forward, we're selecting in the process of, because some of the things aren't done. In the process, we're going to select some like semi-finalists that we're reviewing. And so at this point, there's going to be way more than we want. I mean, people have suggested for the top 20, over 100 of them, like most, like a fifth of them, the judges who have read them have agreed, this one's really good, please read this. So when I'm telling you that we need to have an anthology, that's what I mean. We could have 10 anthologies and they would be entertaining with the amazing, and it feels so selfish that I get to just go and look at all this really cool stuff that we have. Like, people have done such great art for this. This has to happen, right? So we didn't plan on this being the thing, because we thought, oh, it's so much work to do some of these anthologies, and what we're asking for is so niche. It's going to be like 5 people to submit what we need to, and those will be the winners, and we'll be done with it. But honestly, we could publish anthologies every month of the year and still have awesome writing in all of them. So first of all, thank you to everyone who wrote, but also all of you judges. I was so overwhelmed, and I was like not sleeping for like a week or two, to be honest with you, because I was like, there are so many of these, and I can't read them all, and I want to be able to read them all, and I want to be able to give them all justice. And given that we had so many judges, we are being able to give everyone a fair judging procedure. So thank you all so much. It's really been life-changing to see all of the volunteers come together on that project for us. It's really, really warms your heart to see how great the community has been.
Well, and just the response in general to the Scary Tapes idea. We were talking about it beforehand. Mandy was sort of like, gosh, I really hope we get enough submissions that, we don't just get 5 submissions and like those are the ones. Hopefully they're good. Somebody asked, we have over 450 submitted stories to the competition, and they're minimum of 7,000 words, which is like a minimum of like 17 to 20 pages each. It's so many stories. It's Mandy was sort of thinking, we would just all read them all and judge, and it's not even remotely possible without the volunteers. It would be, it's been crazy, but good crazy, just also kind of crazy. So, yeah, thank you, volunteers, for helping and making the Scary Tapes actually happen, because it's literally not possible for the 6 staff members and myself that we have working on it on the Real Good side to like just do it ourselves. That's an insane amount of reading. So we do really appreciate you. But I think it's time to end the stream. We're going to be rating the Real Good Regiment today. Cadet Liberty should be live right now. If you don't know the Real Good Regiment, they're a group of volunteers who originally got together during our fundraiser last year to stream and raise money for Real Good. They really believe in the cause, but they have continued streaming together, and they have added interviews, much like the way we do interviews on our streams, and they have been adding games to the rep and developing their ideas, and it's a really cool group who are purely volunteers doing it for the love of the game. So I am going to spell the channel name wrong. There we go. We're going to raid Cadet Liberty. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. And we'll be back next Thursday. I will be streaming probably all day, like 8-hour stream, 10-hour stream. We'll see how exactly it works out. But, I think I have a doctor in the morning next Thursday. We'll see, chat.
Yeah, you do.
It's going to be a long stream either way, but hopefully I can start
It just
earlier.
won't start earlier in the morning.
Yeah. Well, see what happens. But we're out of here, chat. See you next week for the team stream. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back with another interview with another very interesting guest. I'm interested to hear what Dr. Shah has to talk about and what questions you will have, because I'm sure you will have more fantastic questions. We're out of here, chat. We'll see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. And I don't know why I was just setting it up like I have a sign-off phrase. You know what I always say? Bye.
Super duper. Right?
Basically. See you next time, chat. We're out of here. Bye.
Oh, podcast out. Maybe that's what you were thinking.